This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss all of the wonderful news in the wide world of sports. My name is Ben Brown.
And my name is Alex, not Brown.
Oh, yes, I know that. But anyways, Alex, good weekend or no?
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Anything fun? Do anything fun?
I hung out with some buddies that I hadn't seen because they're up at school. Went downtown here in Sacramento. There's always Christmas things going on, so...
I mean, it's coming up. So.
Yeah, Christmas is in a few weeks. So, just relaxing.
We're 3 weeks away from 2017.
That's weird. Yeah.
Like, literally, I
remember the day you and I graduated high school together.
Oh, man, it feels like yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
No, it wasn't. That is so weird that you sing that because I love the Beatles, but I don't listen to them often, right?
I listen to them very often. Favorite band of all time.
They're definitely up there for me, but they're not my favorite. But I don't listen to them overly, frequently because I always listen to so much new music. I'm always just rifling through stuff because I like to. But, so I listened to them for the first time in a while. I listened to, a lot of different songs. Blackbird yesterday, a bunch of different songs, right? And my buddy, one of the ones I was hanging out with, quoted Blackbird the day that I was listening to them for the first time in such a long time. And then you just quote that. It's crazy, man. It's crazy the way that works. I would have thought nothing of it if I didn't listen to him this weekend. I
guess so, but it just triggered a response in my head when you said yesterday. So
there you go.
Now I long for yesterday.
That's pretty good, man.
All right, man. So we're going to be talking a lot of great things in the show, a lot of football, but we'll mix in some basketball and some others as well. Going to be talking about the NFL. Week 14 concludes tonight with the Patriots and the Ravens. We have to talk about the games from yesterday, a lot of good storylines. Playoffs are coming up, so we're getting a little closer, getting some ideas of who's going to be some division winners, some wild card teams. A lot of surprising results, I'd say, yesterday. Some unfortunate news for a certain quarterback, but we'll get on that in the first segment. Second segment, we're talking some college football. We had the Heisman Trophy on Saturday. Quarterback from Louisville, Lamar Jackson, wins the award, as well as the Army-Navy game. One team wins for the first time in 15 years, which is obviously a great, great story. And then we'll end the show with some What's Trending news.
Yeah, I can't wait. But let's start with NFL scores from the weekend.
All right, so let's do it. Alex, I know you're very happy about this result. The Steelers topped the Bills 27-20. Absolutely monstrous day from Le'Veon Bell. 236 yards rushing and 3 scores.
Yeah, 298 total yards of offense. The guy was on fire. It couldn't stop him. I was worried going into this game about the Bills running game because it's pretty good.
And LeSean McCoy's had a really good year.
Yeah, he had 81 yards receiving. For a good day. And then he had a rushing touchdown late to make it look a little closer than it was. 27-20 at that point. It was 27-13, and they kind of just, they ended up scoring late. But it made it look a little closer than it was. The Steelers kept him in it. Roethlisberger threw 3 picks in this one, but they were pretty much pedal to the metal from the get-go in this one, kind of holding it down.
And there's also now doubts about Rex Ryan's possibly coaching situation in Buffalo. Possibly getting fired maybe at the end of the year. I think what happens the last 3 weeks will maybe determine a lot of it. At the start of the year, after that loss to the Jets on Thursday night, it didn't look too good, but they've been playing better as of late, but now they're kind of just falling out of it. So 3 weeks left now. I think it'll determine a lot of how the team does, if he's going to stay there or not.
Yeah, there's an NBC Sports report that he could be fired today if he had lost this weekend. So, which I didn't understand because the Steelers they're not like the Niners.
And they're playing really good right now.
Yeah, they're not the Niners or the Browns or a team that you would have to be super embarrassed to have lost to. They're as of now before tonight. If the Ravens win, they'll drop back out, but they're the number 3 seed in the playoffs. So, you look at it that way. It's not like they're some garbage team to be embarrassed lost to.
They're definitely a team on the up and up right now.
Yeah.
All right, another game is the Titans get a huge win to improve to 7-6, 13-10 over the Broncos, who fall to 8-5. the biggest surprise here, man, how does Trevor Siemian throw for 334 yards and the team puts up 10 points?
I don't really know. The defense was doing not bad, but it wasn't really getting key stops. The Titans were playing great all day. This is the kind of thing that you're supposed to want as a Packer fan is okay, well, he's going to throw for at least 200-something yards. Our defense is going to hold him 13 points. We'll figure out ways to score.
Yeah, if you tell me that the Broncos defense gives up 13 points and Trevor Siemian throws for 334 yards, I'm like, wow, they probably won like 24-13.
Well, I'll tell you,
it's their running game. I mean, they run the ball 9 times for 18 yards combined.
Yeah, they're averaging 2 yards a rush. And I'll tell you what, a big reason why they lost this game, they were 3 for 11 on third down. They had 9 penalties for 87 yards. They had a 1 for 3 made to attempt ratio in the red zone. Just not 2 turnovers, not the formula to win. It's just a little. It's kind of fluky. It's a game I thought that Denver would win, and now you have to kind of question how for real is this team. We know the defense is good, not as good as last year, but still very good. And the defense is having to try and carry this offense. The offense just isn't consistent enough. And when we saw that again yesterday, the defense absolutely locks down the Titans. DeMarco Murray, pretty good game, 92 yards and a touchdown. But Marcus Mariota throws for 88 yards, and yet they still can't win the game. Yeah, they shut the passing game down for sure. It was turnovers for them at bad times. So you had 2 running backs I don't know what AJ Derby is actually. I think he's a running back also. Both with fumbles. Get this, though, a model of consistency. Justin Forsett has his first lost fumble since 2009. He hadn't had a fumble loss since 2009.
And then he loses one in his first game.
First carry.
As a member of the Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. And they're already in a running back depleted situation. C.J. Anderson out for the year. Devontae Booker. He hasn't really...
He's been kind of getting dinged up easily. Not easily he keeps getting hurt, but he'll get little injuries that'll nag him. That's why I have to keep bringing in guys.
He hasn't really shown up to solidify himself as a starting running back.
He's done good things, but he hasn't just taken a job.
Right. So, have to wait and see. Denver now 8-5. They're going to be battling for a wild card position. They're a couple games back of both Oakland and Kansas City. So
yeah, Oakland, no matter what's going to be in these playoffs, whether or not they win the division or if they get in this wild card with 10 wins already. So they're looking to be okay. The wild card team's going to have to do some work because, like you said, it could be Denver, it could be the Steelers. If the Ravens win again tonight, they'll drop out. I forget who has that final spot other than the Raiders. Who'd you say?
In the wild card right now? Well, it's tough because you have Miami. They beat Arizona yesterday, but now you have Ryan Tannehill possibly with a torn ACL. You have Denver at 8-5. You could have the Ravens at 8-5 if they win tonight. So it's going to be interesting for that last wild card spot.
Well, as of right now, sorry, I'm looking at it just to make sure. It would belong to the Broncos. So the Dolphins are tied with them, but the Broncos have better win percentage in common games. And then the next one out is the NFC North being the 8th seed. So Dolphins and then the Ravens currently, but we'll see how tonight goes, hopefully. I'm hoping for a Patriots win, and I don't say that often. Anyways, let's continue on to an NFC game.
Yeah, so a team that is likely fighting for a wild card spot in its own right is the Washington Redskins. They improved to 7-5-1 with a 27-22 victory over the Eagles. They scored late, just kind of run away with it. Carson Wentz
with that final play.
Right, so Carson Wentz, 314, 1 touchdown, but did have the interception late. Kirk Cousins, pretty good game, 234, couple of scores. Deshaun Jackson catches a long 80-yard bomb. His first game.
He plays very well against the Eagles.
Well, I think it's that sort of that little hatred, the revenge issue, being a member of the Eagles. So I think that's what it is with him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He has that extra chip on his shoulder.
He gets up for it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah. Carson Wentz threw Cousins threw a pretty ugly pick 6 in this one. Put the Eagles ahead, but hey, he fixed his own problem.
They do get the job done. They do win, which is very important. The NFC really, we can talk about it maybe after we do the scores, but the NFC really getting competitive. Seemed like every team within that wild card bubble won yesterday. So
yeah, the NFC.
It's really important that the Redskins got that win.
It's funny when they do. So after, at least either before. No, yeah, it was before. It was the end of one of the afternoon games, I think, and it showed the updated, other than the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, obviously, but it was the NFC game. So other than the Sunday night game, it showed the NFC playoffs. as it looked at the end of those games, and it had like 7 teams that were quote unquote in the hunt.
Right.
But I think it was, from the fourth one down, you can just erase them because it was like the Eagles were around, the Cardinals were still in there. Teams that obviously technically aren't eliminated, but they're not going to make the playoffs.
No.
They always keep them all in there. Anyways, let's look at a team that actually is technically still in the hunt, and that's the Cardinals.
Well, maybe not so much after this loss yesterday.
Technically speaking, they are still in the hunt is what I mean. They are not eliminated, even though everybody knows they're eliminated.
Yeah, they lose to the Dolphins 26-23 yesterday. Cardinals dropped to 5-7-1. Miami 8-5 now, so 7 out of their last games of victories after they lost pretty bad last week to the Ravens. But the big problem here is Ryan Tannehill. He played pretty good yesterday, 195 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he did get taken down by Calais Campbell, kind of on
not dirty. I
would say like kind of like a fluky play. He Campbell kind of got pushed.
Yeah.
Kind of got pushed and leaned into Tannehill. He hits him low at the knee, not intentional as you mentioned, and it was literally like a monsoon down there in Miami. Just
it was raining.
Crazy weather.
Mm-hmm.
But
we
so
saw that with
Tannehill,
that pass he tried to throw.
Tannehill looks like he will be out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL, and really at the end of the season now, you have to wonder if he'll be ready for the start of next year. Going to be missing OTAs for sure.
Yeah,
probably a lot of training camp.
I remember Flacco tore his ACL around this time last year, and he was ready in time, but it took him a little while to get into like OTAs and things of that nature. So yeah, you have to see how he's going to be able to heal up for this one because it is late. That's always an issue with having injuries late in the year.
So now the Dolphins, with 3 games remaining, will turn to Matt Moore. I guess there could be a worse situation. I mean, he's had starting experience with the Panthers before, a little bit with the Dolphins. He's been around a while, so they
could turn the ball over to either of the Niners quarterbacks.
There is worse options. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but 8-5. Tannehill, not a terrible year. 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Playing a lot better under Adam Gase, who's sort of the quarterback whisperer. But now it's going to be, really, really difficult in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, they could maybe just keep winning, playing lower ranked opponents in that sense, and maybe be right there. But even if they made the playoffs, I don't think they would go very far. Even if they had Tannehill, I don't think the Dolphins would. Just the way their team's built.
Right.
But yeah, it's a shame. It's not something you want to see happen, especially for a team that's in the hunt right there for them. Not what you want to see.
Not at all. The Panthers, after their terrible loss last week, 40-7 to the Seahawks, turn it around and defeat the Chargers 28-16. Jonathan Stewart, 66 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. But did you see after the game, Cam Newton still not wearing a necktie?
Yeah.
He kind of was wearing like a Fred from Scooby-Doo-esque ascot.
Well, I think you can wear whatever you want after the game, but I think it's a pregame thing.
I know, but usually after the game you see the same.
The same, yeah. Maybe not. Ascot counts.
I mean, it's possible, but is this guy trying to get suspended? Does he even care anymore?
Doesn't seem like it. That's why I didn't mind it last week. So whatever.
I mean, it's like
do what you want, man. Do what you want.
It's like okay, man. Whatever you're doing.
I'm surprised they have ascots that fit him. It's like tablecloths. This guy's so big.
I mean, they make different sizes, so I would assume they could get something.
Get some tailored,
custom made.
Yeah.
He's going to a designer Big and Tall ascot store.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, just the Big and Tall ascot store in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I mean, it's on Yelp. I've seen it. So, anyways,
3 stars.
AFC North battle. The Bengals top the still ever so hopeless, winless Browns.
This was really the last
23-10.
Looking at the game that I was like, oh, they could win this game.
Exactly.
It's a division game against a Bengals team that wasn't great, sitting at 4-7 before the game and won.
And I said that on Friday. I did not expect them to win because I've made that mistake already picking the Browns, and I won't do it anymore.
I forget who I picked them over.
But
only one game, though.
They were coming off of a bye week, so a little rested. Bengals, as you mentioned, shorthanded, but it just did not work out. They lose 23-10, as I mentioned. 180 yards and 2 scores for Andy Dalton.
How about the most Browns play of this season? A flea flicker from your own 2-yard line inside the end zone, in which you barely exited the end zone when you threw the ball back to Robert Griffin III, who did start this game.
Right.
And he throws into triple coverage in an interception. It looked like it just died in midair too. And not like it went up and down, but the way he threw it, he expected it to look like it went farther. But
I mean,
come on.
Was it a bad play, or was it the thing that the defense would least expect?
It was a bad play.
I
Only
agree.
maybe both are correct, because who would do that from their own end zone? Because all you need is to have the running back turn around and get affected in any little bit of way, and you could be throwing that ball into the ground on your little turnaround. You know, you don't see flea flickers often anymore, but even then, you have at least some space between you and your own end zone, at least. Like maybe the 20, I would say, is a minimum in which you would try a flea flicker. For me personally,
I mean, this is the Browns we're talking about, so
exactly. They're like, hey, why not?
There's nothing that is up for not up for grabs with the Browns. You know what I mean? So
it's like the Niners. We'll get into them in a bit, but it's like what they did in overtime.
Definitely. So moving on to the NFC North now, the Lions yet again another fourth quarter comeback, 20-17 over the Bears. Matthew Stafford 223 in one score. He also had a rushing touchdown.
Yes, he did. Go ahead touchdown.
But there was some unfortunate news. He did tear some ligaments in his hand. It looks like he's going to be wearing a glove the rest of the year.
I give him credit. His middle finger.
I give him credit for sticking it out. Obviously, you look at Derek Carr doing the same thing with Oakland, but we'll have to see if the final 3 games, if that can sort of affect him. They do have a 2-game lead with 3 games left, so they are in a really good situation, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, he had the luxury of playing the Bears, who lost their 7th road game of the year. They still haven't won one on the road, and their losses on the road go back pretty far. So they are having a bad season. Hey, good game from Matt Barkley, though.
You know what? He's been playing. I'm not going to say he's my guy going forward, but he's been filling in. I'm going to say nicely.
Yeah, he has.
Since Jay Cutler got injured again.
Mm-hmm. I like Barkley. He was a good college quarterback. I didn't think he would be a solid NFL quarterback, but he's doing things to put him in a position to win. I mean, obviously, only losing by eventually the game-winning touchdown, but only losing by 3 points. Put him in a good spot.
Yeah, threw for 210 yards in one score, no turnover. So I guess that's a pretty good situation. Mm-hmm. The Texans topped the Colts in a really important game in the AFC South. They topped them 22-17. Just a really bad day by Andrew Luck. He did throw for 276 and 2 scores, also a couple of turnovers. Lamar Miller, big game on the ground, 107 yards and a touchdown. This is a game I thought that was made for the Colts. A big win last week against the Jets. They should have beat the Texans already in Houston, and they gave it away late, but they just kind of shot themselves in the foot this game.
Yeah, I think this was definitely a game they needed to win, because we'll get into why this loss actually hurt some worse now too in a minute. But after such a strong performance against the Jets, which we all knew was because they played the Jets, they had chances to really help them win and help their own case, and they couldn't get it done against the Texans, whom it's not like they're that great.
Yeah, still nothing to be look forward to with Brock Osweiler. 147, no touchdowns, as well as 1 interception. But, I mean, imagine Brock Osweiler leading the team to the playoffs, though. Like that, oh, man. But anyways, we'll have to wait and see. A couple of games left. The Texans, Titans, and Colts are technically all still around, although the Texans and the Titans do have the 1-game lead over the Colts now with their loss yesterday. So have to wait and see what happens. The Vikings get a very important win over hopeless, I don't know what other adjective to put them, Jacksonville, 25-16 down in Florida. Sam Bradford, 292 yards and 1 touchdown for the Vikings.
Yeah, he had a good game. The defense played well at times. The Jaguars, they're just anemic to scoring. They only put up 9 and 7 respectively in the second and the third quarters. No points in the first, no points in the fourth. This game was pretty much decided. I mean, it was 9-9 halftime, but it's not like you thought the Jaguars were going to win it.
The Jaguars had a penalty called on them. Mm-hmm. That this was the first time it has been called in 18 years. And you're probably thinking to yourself, geez, like what could that possibly be? They get a delay of game on a kickoff. Yeah. So if you wait over 25 seconds to kick the ball, you get a delay of game on a kickoff. So I didn't even know there was a play clock on the kickoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is.
I didn't even know that. And yet they get a delay. How do you get a delay of game on a kickoff?
It's a rule that's so rarely called, I guess you could say. That
18 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, you can't even call it in Madden. Like, I can sit there, if I have to go to the bathroom or whatever, I'll just let it go to the kickoff screen and I won't kick it off. I'll wait 5 minutes before I kick it off.
Like, how are you that bad to where you get a delay of game on a kickoff?
I guess they just had to take care of some stuff. Maybe they were a couple men short or something. I mean, it's not like it's a long clock. If you get out there, it's windy or rainy and you're really setting up a certain way. I don't know if it starts from when you're set or just wacky.
Man, that's pretty bad. That might be bad, but this might be even worse. The San Francisco 49ers blow a 17-point lead and lose to the New York Jets in overtime, 23-17. The Niners now 12 games in a row they have lost.
Bryce Petty gets his first win as a starter in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, this game, it got pushed to overtime. I know I was hoping for a tie because you know me, but because it would have just meant it would have meant the world,
like icing on the cake if this game was a tie.
Well, because I said I was talking about this game with Jeremiah on the football show, and I said this has the potential of being the worst game ever played.
Right.
I said they could.
Right.
I said they could tie this game. I said they could tie this game at 0. But I was sitting there like, I was like, I almost called it a tie, But no, Carlos Hyde played great. 193 yards from him. Almost.
He also had a receiving touchdown as well.
Yeah, a great game from him. My brother had Le'Veon Bell and Carlos Hyde in fantasy yesterday.
Well, he won yesterday, so
yeah, in one of his leagues he did. I beat him in the other one, but because I had Le'Veon Bell, but and DeMarco Murray. But you look at it, and they went for a 4th down conversion in overtime, the Niners, and I kind of put it to this: what do they have to lose? Yes, a game. But
literally
you've
nothing.
already lost 11 of those, so why not?
Literally nothing. I mean, we saw last week that could have been the worst game ever between the Bears and Niners, and the Niners just absolutely baffled me that last week. And then this week, just not any better. They're holding a 17-point lead. I'm like, oh, okay, like they're probably gonna win this game, and then just the rails completely fall off there. There's not much more to say about both these teams, but we literally see that the Niners are just that bad.
Yeah, back-to-back games that really personify the year the Niners are having. The no touchdown penalty celebration and this game, just blowing a 17-point lead and not scoring again after halftime.
Just absolutely terrible. A big win for Tampa Bay, though. They win their 5th straight game. They defeat the New Orleans Saints 16-11. Drew Brees, his 2nd straight game now without a passing touchdown.
Yeah.
He got lit up yesterday. He did throw for 257 yards, but 3 interceptions, including the game clincher, I guess, right at the end of the game.
You did a good pick, too.
Tampa Bay now, with their win, still tied with the Falcons, who absolutely dismantled the Rams. We'll get to that in just a minute. Tampa Bay, a really, really good win. 5 wins in a row now. They're really turning things around.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's defense looked really good yesterday. They obviously came off a game not long ago where they held the Seahawks to 5 points, Drew Brees, anytime you can pick him off 3 times in one day is a game that you can tell your family about when you're retired. Like, I was part of a defense that picked Drew Brees off 3 times in one game. Doug Martin's playing well again. They're not amazing. Jameis Winston didn't account for a touchdown for the first time in his career yesterday. They obviously are kind of like the Dolphins in a team that is in the hunt, but you don't really know where they would really go. But the defense is playing very, very good, and it's nice to see the variety again from that division every year.
Definitely really good. So, like I said, staying in that division, the Atlanta Falcons absolutely kill the LA Rams 42-14. Matt Ryan 237 and 3 touchdowns without Julio Jones. He missed the game with a turf toe injury. Falcons also get a couple of defensive touchdowns, a strip sack by Vic Beasley, as well as a pick 6.
Yeah, this Rams team is just horrible. They have a good young quarterback in position who's getting no help from receivers in terms of drops, in terms of protection. He's going to get killed out
He's getting no help from literally anything.
Yeah, the running game.
His head coach, the running game, nothing.
Yeah, Todd Gurley can only do so much when there's not an offensive line to help him. He had 61 yards in a score, but there's not much you can do. With the team whose number 1 receiver is Kenny Britt, obviously they have some issues. Yes, he's having a revitalized season.
He's coming alive in garbage time.
Exactly. He's coming alive in garbage time, and there's times in other games that he shows up earlier in the game as well, but he was looked at as a bust a few years ago. It's not a guy, no offense to him, you want as your number 1 receiver. They need to address the offensive line and their receiving core in the draft and some pieces in the defense, because their defense isn't overly bad. It was bad yesterday.
The defense is, but I mean, if you're constantly on the field like that, you can only do so much.
Exactly.
And Todd Gurley even said after the game, like, we played like a middle school team today.
Offensively, exactly.
He even admitted, like, he admitted, we're just not a good team.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher, I mean, he knows football. He wouldn't be a head coach as consistently as he is if he didn't know football. He wouldn't have as many wins or losses, but especially the wins if he didn't know football. But it just seems like he can't build a team from top to bottom. He gets pieces here and there, but he can't build it. Build a solid team. So that's unfortunately his downfall. And the Rams dropped to 4-9.
Yeah, definitely not in a good situation out there in LA their first season back. Pretty surprising to me. Probably the most surprising result of the day right here is the Green Bay Packers over the Seattle Seahawks. They absolutely kill Seattle 38-10. Big day by Aaron Rodgers, 246 and 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson throws 5 interceptions. I don't think he's ever done that in his career.
No, he's thrown 4 before, but I don't think he's ever thrown 5.
Against a Green Bay Packers defense that simply does not turn the ball over, but they are getting healthy and playing better at the right time now. They were winners of 3 straight. They improved to 7-6. Is it too late for Green Bay?
It might be with the way that the Lions are playing, and the Lions don't exactly have a super tough schedule to end the year.
They do have to play the Packers one time.
They do.
Though.
They have the Packers one more time, but I still think, even with Stafford being injured, I still think they're kind of more of a complete team. It's interesting. Rodgers has been playing great lately. It might be just because of the way that division is playing at this rate, and with the NFC.
Right,
very
every team above them wins. Mm-hmm. Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Washington, Minnesota. So kind of like a throwaway week, although they did get the victory. To me, they have to win out to have any chance.
Yeah, they have to win out, obviously. What I think is most impressive is this defense is starting to get a little better again because they're getting healthier. I don't know how many picks they had before. Yesterday.
I think we might have doubled our tally.
I think you doubled your tally.
I'm just throwing that out there.
It's like the Steelers. They had, I think, something like, a total of 11 sacks in their first 8 games. In the last 4 games, they have 12 sacks or something. Defenses a lot of times down the stretch just really turn it on. Just turn it around. And
then our Sunday night matchup, definitely a defensive battle out there in New York. The Giants top the Cowboys 10-7. So the Cowboys with 2 losses this year, both to the Giants, although it'll be by a combined 4 points. The Giants win yesterday. Eli Manning did throw for 193 yards and 1 touchdown, but literally, I was watching this game, and if you're a Giants fan with Eli playing last night, you had to be biting your fingernails every time he touched the ball because he had, in my opinion, one of his worst games that I've seen him play. A couple of terrible interceptions. He should have had a couple of more that the Cowboys simply just dropped the ball. He had a fumble where he throws it and just drops the ball. I don't know if it was the cold weather affecting him because it was in like the 20s, or I don't know exactly what was going on with him last night, but he looked like it was his first career start out there.
Yeah, the only difference really in the game being the long touchdown catch from Eli to
Odell Beckham Jr.
Do you want an amazing stat before we get onto the Monday night and get on?
Sure.
Eli Manning has thrown for under 200 yards in 3 straight games. First time that has happened since 2008, in which the Giants went to the Super Bowl.
Well, it's destiny. The Giants sit at 9-4 now. In my opinion, they've kind of solidified themselves as at least a wild card team.
Yeah,
the Cowboys do have the division lead, and they're going to get the number 1 seed, especially with Seattle losing because they have that tie in there. So they have like a 2.5 game lead with 3 left. So they're more than likely going to get the number 1 seed. Dak Prescott, probably his worst game of his career so far. A couple of interceptions.
The only other one that you can compare it to is the first time he played the Giants. He kind of looked the same. He hadn't looked like a pure rookie since that week, and he kind of did again last night. They have something figured out for him.
Yeah, I think the Giants' defense really stepped up last night. Without Jason Pierre-Paul, I was surprised. Leader in sacks with 7. Now he's out for the year. The defense really stepped up. They put Prescott under duress all night. Couple of interceptions, as I mentioned. Did have the 1 touchdown to Terrence Williams, and Ezekiel Elliott did go over 100 yards again, 107 on 24 carries. But just not a good game for Dallas. Their defense really stepped up and stopped the Giants, but they just couldn't get anything going. Kind of a defensive battle.
Nothing was really getting going. Honestly, I almost turned it off. It was kind of getting boring.
It was. I'm not sure if, like I said, maybe the cold weather, Dak Prescott playing in Mississippi State at college, so not having to deal with a lot of cold weather. I don't know if that maybe had an effect on him. It's like his first true cold weather game we've seen. So
yeah, maybe.
It's too early to tell. It's only been his first time. So the Cowboys are still going to be okay in my eyes.
I think they're fine still.
Just one bad game.
Just one.
And that takes us to Monday night, as you mentioned. A really good matchup in my eyes. The Baltimore Ravens at 7-5. They need to keep pace with the Steelers in the AFC North. They will go into Foxborough to take on the Patriots at 10-2. Who you got? I know you want the Patriots. You already said that.
Yeah, I feel like I have to give it to the Patriots also. They seem to almost more of the time. I know the Ravens have beaten them a few times, especially to get the Super Bowl back in 2011, or 12, whatever year that was. But the Patriots just seem to win this more often. I think they have a stronger team this year, with the way Tom Brady's playing. LeGarrette Blount has 13 touchdowns on the ground with about 50 yards. He'll eclipse 1,000 tonight. their offense is playing good and their defense is playing well too. The Ravens have a very strong defense this year, like always. The pieces are still working well, but the offense isn't doing overly great. So I got to give it to the Patriots. Patriots 10-2 on the year still. There's a reason they're up and down for the number 1 seed, and if they win this game, they will again be the number 1 seed.
Right. I'll give the edge to the Patriots as well. It's hard to bet against Brady and Belichick, especially when they're at home. But I do think they will not cover the spread. The spread is 6.5. I think they lose, or they think they win by less than that. Win by less than 7. The Ravens just seem to always play the Patriots tough.
Yeah,
we've seen that in the playoffs the last few years. So I'll give the Patriots the edge to win, but I think the Ravens will make it close. I'll say like a field goal.
Yeah, it's still interesting to see how this offense looks without Gronk, because it always changes. You can say it's not a huge deal, but it always changes. But Martellus Bennett, he's questionable. He'll probably play. Slater's going to play, obviously, that huge piece in the special teams for them and on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they're in a good spot. You have Lorenzo Taliaferro. I know I say his name because I'm a Ravens fan. No, I'm not. But I know I say his name because I am a Steelers fan. He has a nickname that I feel like I should remember to say more. But yeah, Lorenzo Taliaferro.
They should call him Talia, like something Egyptian pharaoh.
Talia self-off boy. The game's over.
Talia Egyptian pharaoh.
That's not bad. No, but yeah, Taliaferro. I forget where he comes from, but you were looking at me like I was going to mess it up. I know the kid's name. Yeah.
No, it was something different.
Gotcha. And then Crockett Gilmore, yeah, he's out. But
great name, by the way.
Crockett Gilmore?
Love it.
Yeah, I like that too. But so they're out. But otherwise, you have Marshall Yanda, who's still questionable. He's been kind of iffy this year, and his backup is actually doubtful. So that's going to be interesting to take a look at if Marshall Yanda even suits up. But yeah, interesting day to look at. I'm going to give it to the Patriots.
I agree with you, my friend. You will obviously review and recap tomorrow what happens tonight.
I will. Yeah, I will.
On the show. We'll take our first break. After the break, we're going to talk some college football, Army, Navy, as well as the Heisman Trophy presentation from Saturday.
Yeah, and we'll get back to that in just a minute, but we're going to take our first break. Be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. You guys don't go anywhere.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and now we are going to look at this weekend in Heisman history. And that's going to go to...
I loved how you put that there.
Thank you. It felt good saying it, when you feel those moments. It felt good. Now, something we assumed was going to happen, we talked about all of the candidates for this year's Heisman Trophy, but the trophy does go to whom we all thought it would, Lamar Jackson, whom won the Heisman this weekend on Saturday, as a matter of fact, and becomes the youngest Heisman winner ever at only 19 years old. Guy doesn't look 19. What is it with football players? They're always just big. They look like 40 when they're like, oh, this kid's 20.
It's like at 19.
Yeah.
Compared to that guy, I look like I'm 10.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, I don't know how tall he is. He's not the biggest human in the sense of a football player. He's definitely tall, and he's bigger than me, but, he's considered kind of a lengthy kid. He's not exactly, like big quarterback. Like he's no Ben Roethlisberger, in that sense.
He's not Cam Newton walking around.
Yes, exactly. He's
more like the Michael Vick style.
Exactly, even though he's not short. But he's not. 19 years, 336 days. He is the youngest Heisman winner ever, and he's the fourth sophomore to ever win the award, and he's the first from the ACC, as a matter of fact. Also,
he won. He's the youngest ever by 5 days because Jameis Winston won it.
Yeah, Jameis was young when he won it.
But Lamar Jackson is the youngest by 5 days.
Yeah, a little short. Excuse me. And obviously, you had the likes of former Heisman winners up there with him. You had Tim Tebow was up there. Mr. Johnny Manziel was up there. So
Don't go down his path, Lamar.
no. Coming in second in terms of votes was Deshaun Watson. So the winner being Lamar Jackson, obviously. The winning votes was 2,144. Deshaun Watson came in second with 1,524.
So not
Mayfield
terribly
third.
lopsided, but a pretty comfortable.
But a huge drop-off from second to third. Baker Mayfield third with 361. D.D. Westbrook 209. And then Jabril Peppers just behind him at 208.
And then not named sixth was Jake Browning.
Yeah,
so
he received 3 first-place votes.
So, I mean, he was obviously like the last guy to not make the finalist list.
I thought he should have been included, but I guess with the way you're not going to put 3 quarterbacks in there.
I thought it was kind of weird how they put 5 because we usually don't see that. We usually see 3.
Yeah.
And then I look at it at the votes and I'm like, okay, yeah, I think you needed to put 5 because if you put 3, it's like, oh, 1, kind of a close 2, and then
Baker
literally
Mayfield.
100,000 miles away is number 3 because that's how it was. Deshaun Watson gets 5 times as many votes as Baker Mayfield does.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have Lamar Jackson with 7 times as many votes. So it's like I'm glad they kind of put 5 now because
you see the variety.
Even 3 to 4, 361 compared to 209, it's not too much, and then 4 and 5 just separated by 1 point. So.
Yeah, and then 5 and 6 by a lot, seeing as Jake got 3 votes. And, I mean, again, I get why he got left off. He would have been the 4th quarterback on that list if you included him. A list that includes 3 receivers already, a receiver, and a defensive player. So a little heavy there on the play calling aspect. But anyways, let's move on. We're going to talk about a football game in which had its first new winner in over a decade.
Yes, the Army Black Knights top the then number 25 Navy midshipmen.
The best names, just the best names.
21-17, Army, their first time defeating Navy in 15 years. You know, I love the styles of these teams because it's literally both teams are just that run happy offense. Mm-hmm. Combined, they run for 428 yards for 96 attempts.
I was looking at their passing yards.
So Navy quarterback Zach Abbey throws for 89 yards and 2 interceptions.
6 of 10.
And then he's not playing for the Colts and Giants anymore. He goes back to the Army. Ahmad Bradshaw. Of course, I'm being sarcastic, but
yes.
he goes 2 of 4 for 35 yards and 1 interception.
The QBRs for them, respectively, were 23 even for Abbey and 49 even for Bradshaw.
That's just great.
But yeah, their rushing numbers 112, 316.
Yeah, 316 yards for Army, and they combined 96 attempts. So this game probably took like an hour to play. I mean, I had it on at my job, and I would like constantly check on it. Army jump out to a 14-point lead, and then Navy kind of come back, and then Army get the touchdown in the 4th quarter to win the game. So first time in a decade and a half, you could tell that they were all very excited. They stormed the field. So it's a great tradition, and I'm glad to see Army kind of get one up on Navy. Although Navy did not have their starting quarterback in this game. He was injured, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
You know what I was thinking on this weekend is I was sitting there and I was looking at these two teams, and the fullback got a touchdown. And the dude runs to the sideline, and he's all excited, you know. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, I feel like there's nothing quote-unquote manlier than being the starting fullback or like starting middle linebacker for one of these armed forces schools, like the Army starting fullback. The guy took his helmet off. He looked like a fist. The guy was just muscle. He looked like a human hamster. Like that guy was ready to just run through somebody. And he was talking to the linebacker, and he looked like exactly the same, just taller. Like just no hair, bald dudes, muscles on your muscles. Just your job is to do whatever you need to.
I'll tell you one thing. If I were to ever go into the Army or the Navy, I'm never going to be a wide receiver.
No, or a quarterback. Make sure you're in the running game and make sure you're good at it.
If you're a quarterback, that's not too bad because the quarterbacks run a lot. You know what I mean? That triple option
Bradshaw had a touchdown.
Zone read scheme. So the quarterbacks do get some play, but I would literally never be a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's like the armed forces teams still run that
traditional like that first ever offense first ever offense ever developed.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they set up with the quarterback under center and then a fullback that would be in his normal spot, and then a fullback to his left and a fullback to his right, so it just looks like a line.
I'd love to see what these teams would have to do on like a 3rd and 15. Or like a game's on the line.
Just punt it.
A game's on the line, 4th and 12. Like what play do they have in the book for that? You know what I mean? I'd love to see that.
Sneak punt.
It's like, man, it's almost like high school offense.
Yeah,
it's developing a little bit, but like high school traditional offense, you have like just these power running games all throughout the nation.
Very true. I don't know. We'll give Army their due for this one.
Definitely a good win. Like I said, first time in 15 years. Definitely something to be very, very happy about, as they were. So I mean, like I said, you can't hate on them for that.
No, you can't hate on them for that. All right, let's take our last break. We're going to come back and do a little bit of what's trending in regards to the sports weekend and end of last week here, and we'll get out of here. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Going to end the show, but real quickly, talking about what's trending. Alex, we got a few top stories. I think I want to start with this football story, though. I want to start with Lane Kiffin. Okay. Lane Kiffin, as of maybe last Thursday, we're like, oh, wow, Lane Kiffin's going to be the head coach of Houston. Like, not a bad job, you know what I mean? Like, leaving Alabama. And then Friday rolls around, it's like, well, not so much. It's going to be Major Applewhite, who's promoted from offensive coordinator. So,
yeah, and I mentioned this on the show on Thursday, but I made a point of saying this is by no means confirmed. I saw it from USA Today. Yeah, they might be a literal news site and outlet, but unless I see some big sports outlet actually confirm it, homie, don't play that.
Well, now Lane Kiffin making news yet again. And I'm going to stick with what you said because I don't want to be the one to break it and have it be like, oh, wow, it's confirmed. This is not confirmed. Just according to reports, Lane Kiffin will become the new head coach at Florida Atlantic. This is being reported by people from ESPN as well as Fox Sports. Looks like it's going to be about a 5-year deal. We'll have to wait and see, though. Lane Kiffin to Florida Atlantic? Do you like the move?
No, it seems like the biggest step back you could take after being the offensive coordinator for the favorite team every year to win the national championship. Like, come on.
I'm with you, buddy. I thought going to Houston was kind of a move that little bit of a head scratcher. I thought Lane Kiffin was going to leave Alabama. He's going to go to a top elite school as a head coach. Mm-hmm. But Houston is not a terrible option. But now it's like, okay, he'll go back to being the coordinator of Alabama. Not a bad move. Probably be a head coach next year. Now he's going to go to Florida Atlantic. Like,
that's the case.
Not going to. If this is true. Not going to get much coverage there. So I think taking a step down, as you mentioned. But if it is one thing that is sort of a positive to me, it's that Kiffin has struggled as a head coach with the Raiders. He struggled with USC, with Tennessee in the college game. So if he's going to go to Florida Atlantic, he can kind of, if he does good there, and he keeps his head straight and doesn't get into trouble, he can kind
of... It's Lane Kiffin, man.
He can kind of use that as a stepping stone maybe to get an elite coaching job in a few years if he does good at Florida Atlantic. So I guess that makes sense, but for me, I would have stayed at Alabama and have waited one more year.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. This I saw it right when you mentioned it out loud, and this seems weird. I don't know, man.
It's definitely a little surprising. So shifting over to basketball, Russell Westbrook and the Thunder do win over the Celtics last night, 96 to 99 due to the Thunder win. But Russell Westbrook does have his streak of consecutive triple-doubles snapped at 7. He only had 6 assists last night to go with 37 points and 12 boards, so just a little short of the assist column. Maybe doing a little too much shooting, Russ.
Maybe doing a little too many rebounding, Russ.
Well, I mean, he got that. He just didn't pass the ball enough.
Yeah, very true.
But anyways, he's still averaging a triple-double, 31 points, 11 assists, and 10 boards. He's done it so far. Can he do it the rest of the year?
I don't think he can average it, but I know he'll probably go on another triple-double streak. The guy's insane.
So if he's going to drop in one category, what's it going to be? Obviously, the points are going to be there. He's going to average over 10. He's averaging 30.
Probably the assists.
Think so?
Just because he's always so active on the rebound side of the game, offensively and defensively. So I would say, assists. He's also so active scoring that I know at times it's hard to probably do both, score and and get your rebound or get your assist. Excuse me. But I still think that he'll have a good shot. To do it a few more times this year. Obviously,
I think he's going to get honestly really close. I thought if he were to drop in the triple-double averaging, he would have done it already. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to get pretty close. If I had to say he's going to drop in one category, I'm going to say rebounds, though. He's always going to score, and I think he'll be able to assist a lot because he's going to have the ball in his hands literally every single time down the floor. So I think he has those edges. With me, I'm going to say rebounding, though, because if he starts to get tired, that's going to affect him jumping, trying to get into the paint, battle for rebounds. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's at 6'3", so he's not like he's a super small guy, but he's not one of the trees in there battling with 7-footers for boards.
Yeah.
So
it's his stamina and his endurance, really, his activeness in the paint to really jump in. He always gets those like really quick jump in and take the ball away, not those jump ball rebounds, But
I will give Westbrook credit. He literally never takes a play off. He plays harder than probably anyone in the league right now. So I can't hate on him. I don't think he's going to do it, but I think he'll get close. I'd say he maybe finishes somewhere around 29 points. I think 11 assists, 10 assists is pretty doable. I think he'll drop to about maybe like 8 rebounds a game. I think it'll be the rebounds that'll drop because he'll just start getting tired, wear down a little bit, save his energy to score, not so much to grab boards. But we'll have to wait and see. He's going to be fighting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, a couple notable things happened in the NBA also this week. Victor Oladipo of the Thunder, he suffered a sprained wrist when he fell during their game this weekend. And one unique stat line for the Knicks, Kristaps Porzingis. He had 26 points, 12 rebounds, 7 blocks, and he made 3 3-pointers in the win over the Lakers. According to the basketballreference.com, Kristaps Porzingis is the first player with at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 blocks, and 3 made 3-pointers in the regular season since that stat started being tracked back in 1983.
I think he's literally like 2 years away from an all-star. He's just a really, really good talent.
Yeah, the guy's got weird talent, too. His body's just different than a lot of guys that
he
put
just
those
like
numbers up.
It's like Dirk-esque, but he actually plays defense, too.
Yeah, Dirk's not... He plays defense. He just was never the most amazing defender, but his length allowed him to be a pretty good one. But yeah, Kristaps is pretty good at that.
Yeah, Porzingis, in my eyes, is headed towards stardom. He's going to be a very good player for the Knicks.
As a Knick, or you think maybe...
Well, I mean, he's got to be on the Knicks for at least a few more years, because after his rookie deal, he's a restricted free agent. So
he can't be traded.
Why would they trade their possible future? It's hard to say. Obviously, he'll become a restricted free agent after his rookie deal, and the Knicks can match any offer given to him, which of course they'll do. So it's possible he gets traded. I don't really see it unless somehow there's like a fallout with like
somebody,
Phil Jackson and him, where they just are literally on opposite sides of everything. He doesn't want to play for them anymore. I don't really see that happening, but it happens. Who knows? That happened with Carmelo Anthony when he got traded from Denver. So
exactly.
Who knows? But real quick, to end the show, Kenley Jansen, still the top closer out there on the free agent market in baseball. He got married this weekend. Reports are that he will be close to marrying a new baseball team, apparently, maybe. I mean, the Dodgers are still in the mix, but also the Nationals, the Mets, the Marlins. I mean, he's going to get a lot of money. He's kind of waited. I'm surprised he's still available. A lot of other closers have already signed with new teams. You have Chapman gone. Mark Melancon goes to the Giants. So it's possible. I think he'll go to Washington, though. They have a need, obviously losing Mark Melancon over to San Francisco. And they've missed out on really everyone they've been trying to get this offseason. We're big players for Chris Sale. He goes to Boston. So I think they're going to say, you know what, we have to walk away with something in this free agent offseason. Let's go after Jansen.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's where I want him to go most.
Yeah, I know you don't want him in LA, so... But we'll have to wait and see, obviously, in the next few days, hoping he will sign, and we will obviously update you on the show.
Yep. If it happens anytime soon, we'll be there to tell you about it. But we're all done with you today. Until tomorrow, which I'll be back, and I'll talk about Monday Night Football and anything and everything that happens in between that time and from now and that time. So thank you so much, as always, for listening to the show in the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, but our show specifically, the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Alex.
My name is Ben.
And for Anthony, we'd like to say tell you thank you, and we'll take our ever-needed 23-hour break. We're back tomorrow to discuss all what's great in the world of sports. We'll talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.